Hello, it's John, Vince Fisherman. I won a few reels at auction this week. It's a pretty productive week for me. Actually, I won them a couple weeks ago. I'm just out getting them. I've never owned one of these. I've had a bunch of the Ambassadeur 7000s, but I've never had a 7. I've never had a 6. I got one of each now. Another first this week. Actually, 2 more firsts. I've got my first Abumatic. This is a 290. I've never owned one of these. A ball bearing push button. I mean, gosh, what's not to love about that? And then I've been looking for one of these, and it's got line just draped all over it, but I have never owned one of these original Cardinal series. And I got a hold of this one. This is a 6, the bigger one. And I can't wait to dig into that. Made in Sweden. Beautiful reels. I love the colors. You know, it's a little sluggish, but I think it's going to be okay. These are great reels. So we'll get to those in future videos, but today I'm going to work on this beautiful old 7. So let's take it apart. I've never had one of these apart. I'm assuming it's a lot like a 7000. It's got like a power handle on it, so that's kind of nice. The 7000 I have has a much smaller handle on it. Well, I think I put a power handle on it, but so it's got the E-clip right here. I'll try to get it out of there without losing it. I have extras, trust me. I lose these things a lot. Let's see here. And I'm sure when I move this workbench to move to my new place, the workbench is the last thing that's going to leave the house after it sells. I'm going to find about 100 of these E-clips back against the wall back there. All right, so there's the handle. Got the washer under it, just like all of them do. We'll take the drag off. It's just dry. You know, the whole reel is just dry. There's a spacer that I can probably get a bearing for. So I may end up doing that. That spool tension knob is, there it goes. It's on there. Somebody had that spool tension knob cranked all the way down. Now down inside of that, you got belt washer full of sand, and you've got some shims, or yeah, they're shims. Sometimes those shims, you have to get a sharp object under them to get them out of there. They're a little crusty, but not bad. So far, this reel is not bad. We'll take the side plate off. So one of the things I noticed about the 7 is, you know, on the 7000, it has a button you push. This one's got a lever. It's different for your free spool. I may look into upgrading to bearings in this reel. I don't think it has many bearings in it. Okay, we'll go to this in just a second. Here is your spool. Got the flyweights, they're both engaged. So I'm not going to tear that down any further. There's no point in it. Clean that up just like it is. Let's take this side off. This is the palm plate. You got a break over here. We'll get to that when we get it apart. It's a made in Sweden reel, like I said earlier. They call it the Ambassadeur 7. And I'm trying to get some history on these. I know they were made in the mid to late 90s, or 80s, I'm sorry, to early 90s. I remember them coming out, but I never owned one and never really got too much into them. Get into that in just a second. Let's take the level line apart. One of my screwdrivers has been packed away, so that's why I keep looking for it and can't find it. Let's see what kind of shape the good old level line pawl is. No spacers under that. Pull the pawl out. Just needs some oil. It's just really, really dry, but it looks okay. Gear is just gumped up like they always are. I'm sure there's an upgrade kit where you can put a bearing on both ends of this. There's the frame. Clean it up separately. Let's go into this side. Let's take the adjustment off of it. So this side, same setup. It's got belt. And then let's do it the easy way. Take a sharp object and pick those out of there. So it's the same setup on both sides of the spool. Over here you do have a bushing, not a bearing. And it has a retaining ring. Keep your thumb over top of that or you'll say goodbye to it. And it can push out. That could be upgraded to a bearing, and I may actually have a bearing for that. Then you have the drive gear, or I guess you call it a cog gear for the level line. Really nice, nice looking gear set here. You know, on the smaller sizes, 6,000s or whatever, these are plastic. This is quality stuff. You got. I'm not gonna take this off, but here is your bait clicker or line out clicker. That'll clean up fine just the way it is. That cover's done. Let's go into the meat of it here. Let's see what this thing's made of. 2 screws hold the cover over the gears. Get the right screw here, screwdriver. There we go. A lot of spring tension under that, so I'm assuming that's for the yoke, which it is. So that's all apart. You've got another bushing, which looks like the same size as that one up here, and that comes out. I'm going to probably replace both of those bushings with bearings. I should have them in stock. Got 2 springs on the yoke. Can't take the yoke out yet. Let's pay attention here on how all this goes together. This is completely apart, so we'll set it to the side. Concave, convex, vice versa. You got your top plate. Drag washers look good, but I'll probably replace them with smooth drag, Carbon Tex. We're just going to lay it all out. This is how it goes all the way to the back side of the spool, of the main bearing. I do this so if I have to go back and look at it, I kind of know the order. And there's your gear, and then underneath the gear is another drag washer. And that should come off. There are shims underneath here. Looks like a shim. This, I don't think comes down any further. So we're going to leave it alone. I can clean it just the way it is. anti-reverse pawl will come off there, but remember how that went on. It goes down and goes into there, so the dog is pointing, the tooth on the dog is pointing down towards the bottom. You need to know that. All right, over here we've got Yoke, which can come out of the pinion can come out of there, and there's the pinion, beefy as heck. Now here's how this thing works. This is your jack plate. It just rotates. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll take that out of there because timing is everything on that. You see how the gears are timed just like on a car. If you put it back together, it's not timed right. It's not going to run at all. Well, on this, it's not going to rotate correctly. So I could probably take something and just etch that gear and etch that gear so I can line it back up. Might do that. Just a little something, just like a little scratch all or. I don't know if that's going to do much for me or not. There. I got just enough of a mark there. I can kind of see what's going on. So we'll take that off. Clean that separately. This I'm going to leave alone. I don't see any point in taking that off of there. So that'll all get cleaned up just the way it is. Everything else is apart. Everything seems to be in good shape. I mean, these posts are bad about coming loose. A lot of pressure on them. You know, when you're cranking into a heavy fish, you can fix them. I've got everything put up because I'm in the middle of moving, but I've got an arbor press that I can repeen these posts. I get a lot of really nice reels that are just damaged, but otherwise perfect. And I've just come up with ways to fix them so I can save them and put them in my collection or use them. You know, if they're a little bit beat up on the outside, and that's perfect to use, right? So that's how I get a lot of my reels cheap. There it is. As you can see, this jack plate. Look at that. I mean, that's some engineering right there. That's how it raises and lowers the yoke to engage and disengage the pinion. Let's just do this. The pinion was in there like that. This part of the pinion goes against the spool. And so you see how it slides the pinion away from the teeth on the spool. It locks in right there. There's two teeth underneath the plate that holds the centrifugal weights. It calls centrifugal weight cage, I guess. It disengages the pinion from the spool, so you're in free spool. That's how the whole thing works. It's genius. I mean, simple. Yes, these are some plastic parts that the 7000s don't have, but I don't see where a lot of that could really break. There's no real side load to it. I guess you can break anything. You can break an anvil if you try hard enough, but I don't see how that would be a problem. So anyway, I'll be back when I get it cleaned up. We'll put it together and see how it works. Hey, I'm back. I'm working on this nice Ambassadeur 7000. And I was wondering, what am I going to do with this thing? Do I want to put it back stock? Do I want to modify it? So my answer to myself was, because sometimes I do talk to myself, I think I'm going to put it back stock for now. And I haven't had a lot of time to research it. I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't have a lot of time to research anything. I'm almost sure I can modify this to go to a bearing for the handle. You know where this piece goes, rides in there. 99% sure I can modify that. I'm pretty sure I've already got bearings in stock for this, for the spool. But what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to get some measurements. Let's just see. Your OD is okay. It's 10 millimeters, and then of course your ID you can measure your shaft 3 millimeters. So it's 10 by 3. I need 2 of those. I probably have that, and then this bearing here is going to be, well, it says 16 millimeters. And the inside of the shaft, or the inside of the bearing, which would be the outside of the shaft, saying 9. I don't know about that. It could depend on where you measure this at. That also would be basically 9. Yeah, so 16 by 9, that might be a hard one to source. So I think what I'm going to do here is just build it back stock and deal with the modifications at some other date. I don't know if it's going to be a shelf rider or something I'm going to actually take fishing. So since I don't know the answer to that question yet, because honestly, I haven't never seen one of these reels. I mean, I'm at all kinds of flea markets, and I go to yard sales when I can. I can't say that I've ever actually seen a 7 or a 6, and I wound up with both of them from the same dang place. So it is kind of odd, but I can't say I've ever seen one. So I don't know if I should keep it stock and put it on the shelf, if I should modify it and use it, because I don't use anything unmodified really. But so we'll do a little soul searching on it and see what I come up with. I know that these are 3 by 10s on the inside. I know I can get that bearing. In fact, I probably have that bearing over there in my spare parts. I buy Bocas by bulk. I get ABAC. I usually get ABAC 5s or ABAC 7s, and I'll buy them in bulk. And that way I've got them when I go to build these reels. I don't have to wait for them to come in. I would say this reel was unused. If it was used, it was never used in salt water. There was no corrosion on the frame, on the crossbars. It literally looked like it just sat around with some line on it. Might have got used once in fresh water or something. Maybe they used it for catfish. Maybe they used it for something in the Great Lakes or something. You know, something they had to have a lot of line capacity to run something deep. But I didn't see any signs of salt water. It was a freshwater reel. I don't know where this reel came from. I don't remember where I won it, which auction I won it from, and what it said there. But I'm going to go with the fact I just don't know. So let's put this reel back together. I think the best place to start would be over here on the palm plate side. Let's do the level line first. Beautiful shape reel. I mean, it's definitely shelf worthy. I don't have the box for it or anything like that. Let's not get carried away, but it's definitely in good shape. I'm going to keep a level line on it. You know, I've got a habit of taking the level lines off and making CT conversions. I don't need to do that to this reel. I don't see any need in doing that to this reel. So we're gonna put this thing back together bone stock. That goes in there like that. Go ahead and put the retainer on it. I'm going to give it some oil. All down in there. Just a little dab right there in that groove because it'll get worked back and forth. The pawl goes back in there. The best way to seat that pawl is drop it in and spin it, and it will drop itself all the way into the worm gear, and just check it like that. A little dab of grease, a little shot of oil on the pawl. I do the grease to keep this cap from getting stuck. I do use my reels in salt water, and for that reason alone, I like to keep everything pretty well lubricated and as close to being corrosion free as I can make it. So there's the level line. That's done. Frame is going together there. Over here you had your bushing. Keep hitting that thing there, making a racket with it. Bushing slides in there. It'll be a bearing at some point. It had a retainer. Keep a hold of this thing until you get it popped in there. Retainer goes in just like that. Got a cap on it. The cap got two of these shims. They've been pre-oiled with WD-40 as a corrosion resistance. And then there's the Teflon washer, and I'm going to give it a little bit of speed lube. Give it some go fast there. Put that on there. And let me put a little bit of grease on that just for safe measures. You got the felt washer in there. Okay. Got that together. Over on this side, I'm going to lubricate this shaft. I'll put this cog gear in there. I do not put grease on these cog gears. I want that thing to spin as good, as free as I can. I don't grease the teeth. I don't grease the gear. I don't know where my pliers are. Oh, me. These will have to work for now. And put that E-clip back on there. Like I said, just a little dab of fast oil. Your bait clicker, pretty simple little design. Just give it a little bit of oil so it will slide. I don't grease that. Okay. That's together. Let's take the end plate over here. Put some grease into those screw holes. That will protect those screws. Put your cover plate on. Palm plate, some call it. This is a right hand reel, not a lefty, like I prefer. But you know, you get what you get. And for salt water, I'm fine with a right hand reel. It doesn't really bother me too bad. I prefer a right hand reel if I'm thumbing the line back on, if I don't have a level line. Level line, it doesn't matter. I'll use it either way. I'm not working metal with it or anything. I'm usually laying bait. So, I'm throwing it out there. I'm setting the bait clicker on and waiting for something to come along and sing that clicker. And I'm actually better off at working the rod with my left arm, and cranking with my right when that situation comes along. Okay, spool can go in. I'm going to put some Go Fast on that shaft. Okay. And we're done with that end of the reel. All right. If you remember, I timed this thing. I put a mark on there. Let's give it some grease. And I put a mark on here. This gets some grease. I actually still have a little bit of the original grease still in there. I didn't get all the way out, but it's not going to hurt a thing. This is your jack plate, for lack of a better term. It's this reel doesn't have a sliding jack plate like the older Garcias do. I guess this was kind of a transition reel. It's when they started making things a little bit different. So we're going to time that. See if I can't get one more tooth. And that should be just right there. Okay. I'll leave that alone just for a second. Clean my hands because they got greasy. All right, we're good there. Let's start building this bad boy right here. So your anti-reverse dog or paw got these two little teeth on it, little brass teeth. They go over top of that, just like that. You don't want to put any grease or oil in there because this is a silent reel. It's a silent anti-reverse. It doesn't click, 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 click. So what this does is it pulls that paw back off there when you're cranking. But when the line tries to reverse out, it pulls the paw back down in against the teeth. Okay. And we're going to put some Go Fast on here. This gets a washer, a little brass washer. It goes all the way down the shaft. Okay. We're going to put this on. The anti-reverse dog goes onto that pin right there. Don't spin this thing till you get the cap back on, because it'll pop that dog off there, and then you'll have trouble getting the cap on it. Here's your gear. Let me get the cowls out. This is part of the drag, so I always lubricate it. Cowls does not take drag pressure away from a reel. Contrary to what people are going to try to tell you, cowls makes the drag smooth. It doesn't take away the amount of drag you have. If you wanted to run a dry drag, that's your prerogative. Now, I'm not telling you you're doing it wrong, but I'm just telling you that if you want a nice, smooth, non-jerky drag, use some cowls on it. And it doesn't matter what kind of reel it is. The only thing cowls doesn't work on is Teflon drag washers. It doesn't do you any good there. You might as well not even bother. Teflon, you can put a drop of oil on if you want to. That's also your prerogative. Yep, there you go. I think Yeah, I need to put this on next. Grease the inside of the yoke. Why they call it a yoke? Well, you've seen the old pulling mules or whatever, pulling cattle that pull the plows and stuff back in the day. That's they had a yoke between them. That's what this is. It looks like a yoke, so it got the nickname yoke. Let's grease that pinion up really good. I'm getting low on pin grease here or something. There we go. That slides in there. Just like that. Okay. Get a little bit of that grease out of the way. The pin grease can be used on drags, and I know people that do it. I don't. I prefer the cowls. We're going to put some cowls on these factory drag washers that look like they've never had pressure on them. So we got a fiber washer, heat metal washer, another fiber washer. Smooth drag makes a really good drag for these reels, by the way. I'm going to order it, I think, just for the hell of it. That's one thing you can upgrade on a reel. I don't think it hurts the value on it at all. These drags have some old stuff on them. It's kind of nasty, but that's okay. So then you got another fiber washer. Then you got the eared washer goes on there, like that. And another fiber washer. Your last fiber washers, 3 and 3, 3 metal, 3 fiber. Like I was saying about the drag is the smoother the drag, the less likely you are to break your line off on a fight. When your drag is, it's the rod's bucking and the drag is surging, it's putting undue stress on your line. You don't need that. Then it got that washer concave, and then this one convex, I believe it was. It'll work either way. You get 2 springs on here that are going to fight you when you put it back together. And then I want to say this went on like that. Yeah. Okay, so we're ready. Yeah, we're ready for the cover. Before I put the cover on, you got a bushing, no retainer. There was no retainer in there. You got brass shim. We'll put a little bit of go fast in there. Brass shim, go fast. Washer, a felt washer, go fast. And then we're going to put this on there. A little bit of grease, and we'll put some fast oil on there. This is where you can adjust your side to side. I would think this one just kind of stays right there, honestly. Okay, a little bit of grease where those 2 cover screws go on. Okay. You're going to have some spring tension against you. There you go. Put your screws in there. Okay. I think I got that in there right. I don't have a schematic for this reel. Well, I do have a schematic for this reel. I don't think it'll go in there any other way. Actually, I guess it will. Let's try it like that. So we're going to put a little bit of grease on the handle shaft. Remember, this is a right hand, so it's got right hand threads. Okay. You got this little handle washer that went on there. Handle. Then it gets this little E-clip. Like I said, my regular pliers I've misplaced them. I'll find them later. And you put your handle nut on there. A little extra grease out there never hurt a thing. I can tell right now that bushing goes the other way. So let's take it back apart. Oh, I almost lost it. Good thing I got extra. See, since I started keeping extras on the bench, I haven't lost one. I challenged the E-clip monster to take another E-clip from me. Pretty sure this goes on like that with the cup side up. Let's just try it and see what happens. Still got enough oil or grease on there from when I assembled it, so we're good there. Yes, that looks much, much better. Oh, yeah. So I had it on wrong. It does go with the cup side up, and the drag knob or star drag actually goes into that cup. So we learned something, you know. I'll know that on the next one. And then you put your, oh, hold on. I get in a hurry sometimes. E-clip's got to go on. All right. There we go. Now we can put the retaining nut on it. Tighten it down. Then we have to line this up. This keeps the handle nut from coming loose. Now, we're going to assemble a reel. Make sure your centrifugal weights are in. I'll put just a little bit of Go Fast right there on it. A little bit of grease on the threads. There's 3 of them. Get that on there. Start your thumb screws. Beautiful reel. Wish I had the box to it. Maybe someday I'll find one. Real happy with this reel though, for what I paid for it. I've got the spool tension way too tight right now. It ain't bad. Couple good casts would loosen that thing right up, but bait clicker works. You hear the drag, got that clicker in it. That's a nice feature. That way when you're fighting a fish, you know it's you're cranking and not getting anywhere, so it's a nice feature to have. That's a heavy duty reel. That's a really nice reel. I'm real happy with that. It's a little clangy. It was like that before I started, so I didn't cause that. It's just a design in the reel. I think it's that cog gear over here for the level line. I don't put grease on those. I could probably grease it and quieten it down. What's the point? It'll quieten down with use. This reel's brand new. I don't think it's ever been cast. You can hear that cog gear over there. But it's smooth. Drag feels real good. There she goes. Look how much smoother it just got. Yep, that's how it does. That's how they do. Sometimes you gotta really work them in, get everything seated properly. The spool's just a little bit on the loose side. Perfect there. There it is, folks. My first Ambassadeur 7. I've never owned one. It probably will go on my shelf. It's too pretty to go out and put in the salt, but that's just my opinion on it. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more. I'm in the middle of moving, as I've stated 100 times now. And this workbench will be the last thing I'll move out of my house. After the house sells, I'll take the workbench out. So I'm going to keep working on reels, and I'm hoping to have my new place ready to one day move this stuff over and continue on. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. I don't think my workbench being in this house will keep it from selling. So I hope to be able to make a seamless transition for you. Well, I tell you what, for a bushing reel, that's pretty damn good. And you can get all kinds of bearings, these things, including the cog gear. All right. Thanks for watching. This is John, Bench Fisher.